18 months ago, we bought this abandoned 7-bed Victorian mansion for £410,000, and after a year and a half of renovations, we've seen some huge progress and now completed a number of rooms.
For years, millions of people watched Millie and Lewis transform a rundown 165-year-old Victorian mansion into a home. Along the way, viewers also watched them build a life together, making them one of YouTube's favorite renovation couples. Then, almost without warning, everything changed. Behind the videos and social media posts, their relationship was falling apart. And this is why. The silence that broke the internet. For nearly 2 years, watching Millie and Lewis tear down rotted plaster and haul away broken bricks was a weekly ritual for millions of people. Every Sunday afternoon, subscribers on YouTube knew to expect a fresh update on the Belgrave Villa Renovation channel. They were the ultimate home improvement couple who knew how to turn a ruined historic house into a digital sensation. This went on for years, until the late spring of 2026. The video uploads suddenly stopped. It wasn't only YouTube. They also stopped uploading anything on Instagram. They didn't even share a quick community update to reassure their audience. For a brand who put out content every week, this sudden silence was very alarming. As days turned into weeks, people online started talking, and soon an intense wave of speculation hit their community of nearly 2 million followers. As you'd expect, rumors began to spread across social media. Some fans believed the cost of the renovations had become overwhelming, forcing the owners to put the property on the market. Others thought building inspectors had stopped the work because of safety concerns. The internet went wild with the craziest theories, yet the truth had nothing to do with building codes or money. Then, on June 21st, the couple broke the long-awaited silence with an announcement that shocked everyone. They dropped a YouTube video alongside an Instagram reel that was unbelievable not only to their fans, but also to the internet at large. Millie and Lewis sat together to announce their split. At first, many people assumed it was just another attention-grabbing headline, but it wasn't. After opening their lives to millions of viewers around the world, the couple had decided to go their separate ways. In an instant, their massive digital empire was split in two. Belgrave Villa had always been about more than restoring an old house. It was the couple's journey that kept people watching. But once they decided to separate, everything became more complicated. Now, with their relationship over, they had to figure out what would happen to their business, their YouTube channel, and the 7-bedroom Victorian home that was still under renovation. It was baffling how a couple who survived so much together could suddenly call it quits. To understand how a love story built on restoring ruins could collapse under its own weight, we must step back to the very beginning, before the demolition work ever started. The leap of faith. Long before the couple became an internet sensation, Millie and Lewis were simply 2 teenagers growing up in South Wales. To their friends and family, they were the classic high school sweethearts who did practically everything together. They were just 2 young people figuring out their lives together. After high school, Millie went to college to study law, while Lewis continued to manage his father's property. Neither of them had any professional training in building restoration. But what they did have was a shared desire to create something extraordinary together. They talked endlessly about breaking away from standard routines, which made them take on a project that changed both of their lives for good. During those early years, they appeared to be on the same page. They trusted each other, shared the same goals, and had already overcome plenty of challenges together. At the time, it felt like nothing could stand in their way. After almost a decade together, they believed they were building the future they had always wanted. They had no idea that the house they were so excited to buy would eventually become the center of their biggest struggle. Fast forward to 2024. That ambitious dream brought them to Swansea, Wales, where they found a massive 7-bedroom Victorian property in the most terrible shape. The building used to be the home of a former bishop, and it had been sitting completely empty and rotting for over 5 years. The grounds had become overgrown, and most neighbors considered the property an abandoned eyesore. For regular buyers, fixing up a 165-year-old building of that size was an obvious non-starter. But to Millie and Lewis, it was the perfect building they had been searching for. Securing the property alone was a gamble, as it cost roughly $825,000, which anybody would have thought was a financial liability, especially for a young couple in their mid-20s. They emptied their bank accounts and took on serious financial obligations to make the deal happen. Every bit of their personal savings was now tied directly to this single project. Even though it seemed like a crazy decision, their trust in each other remained unshakable as they finalized the purchase. As bad as the outside looked, stepping inside revealed that things were even worse. After decades of neglect, the villa was falling apart. Parts of the ceilings had caved in, covering the floors with rubble, while dry rot had weakened the timber throughout the house. To make matters worse, there were no functioning modern utilities. There was no running water, no working heating system, and exposed wiring hung from damaged walls. Before they could even think about making the house look nice, they first had to tackle the major structural problems. Ironically, the villa's poor condition became one of its biggest strengths. The more work it needed, the more people wanted to follow the transformation. That was the cue for Millie and Lewis to document the transformation process to save the historic residence. Getting the keys felt like the start of a dream. But it wasn't long before the stress of restoring a 165-year-old house began to take a toll on both of them and their relationship. The algorithm boom. What started as a simple way to document their daily progress quickly turned into an internet phenomenon. Almost overnight, the Belgrave Villa Instagram account blew up, gaining nearly 2 million followers in a matter of months. People from around the globe became completely hooked on watching the restoration process unfold. The platform algorithm especially favored their videos when they began uncovering historic relics buried inside the structure. In one viral clip after another, viewers watched Millie and Lewis pull out remarkable pieces of forgotten history, including an authentic World War II helmet insert, and also a local newspaper from 1925 hidden under the floorboards. It was all these and more that made their videos and channel appealing to viewers, making every new video feel like a live treasure hunt. Beyond the historic finds, the real secret behind their rapid rise was the chemistry between the couple, which their audience loved. Apart from both of them giving out quality content, their cheerful banter and teamwork made an intimidating project look fun and achievable, giving their audience a clear reason to keep tuning in every week. As their audience grew, what began as a personal hobby soon turned into a high-stakes commercial enterprise. Major corporate sponsors took notice of their massive audience engagement and chose to support them by funding and sending out expensive tools and high-end building materials in exchange for promotional features. While this corporate backing helped pay for the expensive restoration work, it also introduced intense new pressures. Millie and Lewis were no longer simply fixing up a house at their own comfortable pace. They were now running a full-time media business that required strict production deadlines, contract obligations, and a relentless filming schedule. Every single week, the couple planned, shot, edited, and published content, while simultaneously managing an active restoration site. The line between their personal relationship and their commercial enterprise started to grow thin. For months, Millie and Lewis lived without a proper kitchen or even a comfortable place to unwind. Plaster dust settled over almost everything, and cold drafts swept through the uninsulated rooms during the Welsh winter. After long days of hard physical work, they came home to exposed wiring, construction tools, and rooms that were still half torn apart. There was never a real escape from the renovation, and over time, the constant pressure began to wear them down. At the same time, the project demands only seemed to build up, especially because they were managing massive structural overhauls all at once. Every finished task seemed to uncover new problems that needed urgent attention. While they were struggling, they still had to put out content regularly, which was hectic. What used to be a suggestion now felt like an obligation, especially as brands expected visibility for the products they had sent to be advertised even when they were completely exhausted. The pressure to maintain a marketable and perfect image meant hiding genuine frustration from millions of followers who expected non-stop progress. Looking back at their video archive, the emotional weight of this lifestyle began showing up in subtle ways. In episode 76, it wasn't hard to notice how stressed Millie was as she broke down in tears on camera. At the time, the comments section filled up with sympathetic messages about how exhausting large-scale home restoration can be. Viewers thought it was probably standard renovation fatigue, but looking back, it could have been signs of an underlying romantic tension between the couple that also affected the channel. The harsh side of fame. Beyond the physical burnout inside the house, a whole new wave of stress began pouring in as the internet fame came with an unwelcome downside. Millions of strangers were watching every single thing they did and had things to say about it. Even though they had millions of fans, they also had comments from critics and haters as well. Armchair contractors and hypercritical viewers from across the globe flooded the comment sections with sharp opinions. Every design decision Millie and Lewis made was suddenly dissected and questioned by people who had never set foot in Wales. This intense online scrutiny reached its peak early in 2026 during a strange viral incident. After posting updates on a major bathroom restoration, an automated wave of critical comments flooded their social media accounts. Thousands of users began claiming that their waterproofing methods violated building safety codes. The bizarre part was that these critics were insisting the work went against Australian building standards. Even though Belgrave Villa was in the UK, the internet algorithm pushed the controversy into a full-blown crisis, sparking endless debates online. The situation got out of hand pretty quickly, forcing Millie and Lewis to take valuable time away from actual construction to address the drama. They had to come out to defend their credibility in front of their entire audience. To clear their names and satisfy worried sponsors, they brought certified British building inspectors directly into the house to inspect the work on camera. Watching the couple stand in their half-finished home while presenting official certificates just to prove their bathroom was built correctly showed how far things had drifted from a simple home improvement project. The need to constantly defend their work against endless criticism pushed them to their limits. Being out in the public eye like that meant they were susceptible to public attack, with strangers commenting on everything from their structural techniques to their financial choices, down to how they spoke to each other during episodes. Trying to manage an exhausting building project while filtering out thousands of harsh opinions drained their remaining energy reserves. At the same time, the pressure from their growing online audience kept building. Then viewers noticed something unusual. Lewis suddenly stopped appearing in the videos, leaving Millie to carry the project on her own. Where did Lewis go? In March 2026, viewers noticed something unusual on the channel. Lewis, who had been an important part of the channel since day one, suddenly stopped being in the videos. Even with new episodes dropping on schedule, he was nowhere to be seen, leaving Millie to do all the work. It wasn't long before questions flooded social media almost immediately, and online clues soon revealed what was actually happening behind the scenes. While Millie stayed at Belgrave Villa, pushing through cold spring days, Lewis had quietly traveled to Australia with his friends. This massive physical distance signaled a major rift between the couple. Back in South Wales, the direction of the channel underwent a noticeable transformation. Millie began taking on heavy structural tasks completely by herself, which used to be what Lewis usually did. Within this time, her mother stepped in to help, spending long afternoons hauling away heavy rubble and clearing out years of accumulated demolition debris. The channel soon went from a couple building a life together to a single creator refusing to let the work stall. By late spring, every new video sparked fresh speculation. Fans started picking up on small details around the property, and many noticed that Lewis's tools were no longer in the workshop. His voice was missing from the background audio, and his personal items were no longer visible in the finished living spaces. Viewers pieced together these small clues, realizing his absence was much more than a brief break from the workload. Without either of them putting out an official statement, there was not so much anybody could do, but it only raised more concern across their community. Longtime subscribers and followers could see that something wasn't right. After years of watching the couple rebuild the mansion together, they now found themselves watching that partnership come to an end. The biggest question was what would happen to everything they owned together. The hard truth behind the amicable split. When the couple finally posted their video addressing the split, the online rumors died down overnight. Their final video together gave viewers the answers they had been waiting for. After weeks of guessing what had gone wrong, they learned there was no single dramatic event behind the breakup. only two people whose lives had gradually grown apart. After 13 years of growing up together, their paths had taken different directions, spending every waking hour balancing heavy structural demolition with relentless filming schedules had slowly turned their romance into a business relationship. From the video, there seemed to be bad blood or malice involved. They were simply two people who still cared about each other, coming to terms with the fact their relationship had gone cold. Dividing a life built over more than a decade is hard under any circumstances, yet doing it with an $850,000 property hanging in the balance made the process far more complicated. Belgrave Villa was not a standard home ready for a quick real estate sale. Millions of global followers were watching, and major corporate contracts were tied directly to the building itself. While viewers only saw the renovation, Millie was dealing with a different challenge behind the scenes. For months, she carefully went over the finances, trying to decide whether she could realistically afford to keep the house on her own. At the same time, Lewis came to a decision of his own. He realized it was time to step away from both the house and the YouTube channel. Years of demanding renovation work, combined with the pressure of documenting it all online, had left him exhausted. He made the conscious choice to step back completely, giving up his public role to focus on rebuilding his life away from the spotlight. It was a clean break driven by a simple need for rest and privacy after years of living inside a construction zone. Even though he chose to walk away from the camera, the legal, emotional, and physical keys to the massive mansion were handed entirely over to one person. With Lewis's backing away from the house's renovation, many viewers assumed she would sell the property and move on, yet she publicly declared that she would finish the massive mansion on her own terms. However, Millie refused to list the house for sale or give up on Belgrave Villa. Taking on a 165-year-old historic home completely solo is a daunting prospect for anyone, especially when the financial reality hits. The mortgage payments, soaring utility bills, and constant structural repairs did not pause simply because her relationship ended. Every broken roof tile and drafty window was now her responsibility to shoulder. Almost overnight, Millie had to take on a much bigger role in the renovation. She traded law books for power tools and taught herself how to tackle jobs she had never imagined doing on her own. From mixing concrete and building the stone patio to tiling bathrooms, she kept pushing forward, one project at a time. Before long, she had developed the skills to carry the renovation on by herself. She was not entirely alone in the trenches during this transition. With her mother now involved, they kept the project moving forward during those demanding first months. Together, Millie and her mother spent long days clearing away piles of construction debris that had built up around the property. They filled skip after skip with waste, cleaned old brickwork, and kept the site tidy as the renovation continued. Having her mother by her side not only made the work more manageable, but also gave Millie the support she needed during one of the most difficult periods of her life. The support allowed Millie to stay focused on the bigger building milestones while keeping the channel's weekly upload schedule alive for her millions of subscribers. To many viewers' surprise, Millie managed to keep the renovation moving on her own. As the months passed, the channel took on a new direction, with audiences watching her learn new skills and tackle jobs she had once shared with Lewis. While she proved she could carry the project forward, many viewers were still left wondering what had happened to Lewis and whether he would ever return to the villa. Millie has continued to deliver impressive results on her own, recently completing a stunning Castile flagstone outdoor patio and custom waterproofed shower enclosures that look completely professional. As for Lewis, he has quietly settled into his post-breakup life, away from the public. As of now, there haven't been any reports of bad blood between the two creators. Instead, they have managed to maintain a genuine friendship that surprises almost everyone. Lewis even plans to return occasionally as a guest expert to help wrap up major outdoor renovations that require extra hands on site. This healthy transition has launched a bold new era for the entire brand. The romance of Belgrave Villa may be permanently dead, but the structural rebirth of the mansion is far from over. Do you think the two might get back together or not? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification icon for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.